Morning, Pauline. Pauline Buckmeyer. Morning, Terrence Swan. Arlene Lewis. Morning, Arlene. Kathy Ann Best. Morning. Lisa Atwater. Morning. Point Cubana Sharon. Morning, morning. Morning, Roxanne. There's my brooms. Shadley Jimenez. Good morning. Carol Boyce. John. 1, 2, 3. Good morning to you. Denise Bramble. Morning. Desmond Samuel. Good morning. Good morning to you, sir. Gillian Jackson, the real ragga. Morning. Ria Ed. Morning. Rude. Clay Carrington. Morning, folks. Good morning, His Excellency, President of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor, and First Lady Mauricia Keegan. I must say, I saw Mauricia post up some of her artwork over the last couple of days. Wow. The improvement is fantastic. I mean, yeah. Can't wait for her to have her first exhibition. Yeah. We have a Picasso in the making. Desh Robin, good morning. Joy Ragunana, morning, Joy. Morning, Diane. Paula Webb, good morning. Morning, Deborah. Judy King, morning, Judy. Morning, Carol. Alice Antoine, morning to you. Jason Pony, morning, sir. Morning, Alison. Alison Boyce. Yeah, Nigel, she really get to that. That hot pepper and the cherries. Wow, those cherries. Huh? Yeah. Denise Reed, morning to you as well. Let's see. Let's see have here. Think for yourself. Good morning to you. Lucille Charles Ford, morning, Shari, morning, Phyllis Farrell. Morning, Donna. Laverne Brown, morning. Wazid Bakradan. Morning to you, Kurt Douglas. Morning, Heather. This thing up here. Right. So I saw that the Kathy Ann Best morning, J Dimple 66 morning to you. Don't know how many of you were following the budget debate, but I saw finally the first part of the budget debate came to an end last night, I think with the contribution for the Member of Parliament for Rima. Morning, Garnett. Morning, Alison Phillips. Claire Irish. Morning, Claire. Yeah, so the Minister of Planning would have wrapped up the debate last night. So they now move on to the second stage, which is the Standing Finance Committee. So that is where you will see some more fireworks. The ministers to look out for, in particular, of course, would be Colin when the Ministry of Finance is being grilled. You know, Mr. Imbut loves to give them these terse responses, especially when the member for Kuban North loves to ask some really foolish questions. You know, and he really tests the patience of ministers, particularly Mr. Imbut. So I really love to see when he is being interrogated. Also, Nian Gatsby Dolly, you know, she and Padarath usually lock horns, and she good for herself too. Shamfa Kojo, Fitzgerald Hines, who else boy? I think Foster Cummins, Camille Robinson, Regis. Yeah. So we wait to see how that plays out. You know, that's when they go line by line, subhead by subhead, to ask all sorts of questions. Well, what is for and what that money for and all of that. But yesterday's session was pretty interesting. You had Rudal Munilal, you had Saddam Hussein. I understand Padarat yesterday. I haven't looked at it, but I understand that he was in his usual. Anyway, let me keep it. Yeah, I understand he decided to show his true colors yesterday. But I'll have to go back on YouTube and look at it. I think he spoke after Marvin Gonzalez because he's the shadow MP or the shadow minister for public utilities. Someone would have reached out to me to tell me, you know, Well, that's how the UNC work it. So they said once this person speak, you will speak after. The challenge with that is that when they make certain allegations applicable to the previous speaker, it is difficult to rebut because the person who comes after him is coming to speak about something else. So the person was telling me, Paderat said certain things with respect to the Ministry of Public Utilities. And of course, because the minister spoke before him, he didn't have an opportunity to come back and rebut and correct things that Mr. Paderat would have said. So we will see how that goes. I will look at it, and well, if I could probably reach out to Marvin and to get clarification on anything that was said that might be misleading, and we could probably treat with it here. Right. So before I touch further on that, I just wanted to respond to a question I saw when I went back on the YouTube live yesterday. Someone by the name of Patriot was asking a question again with respect to NIS, and he was asking, well, the person was asking, why is it that when a pensioner, an NIS pensioner dies, that the rest of money doesn't go to the beneficiaries, but that the pension stops. That's how it is universally, whether it's national insurance pension, private pension. And the reason for that is these pensions are payable for life. So as long as you live, you will be entitled to receive this pension on a monthly basis. And right now we have a situation, if you want to call it a situation, where persons are living longer, far beyond or well beyond the age that had been previously projected that these institutions would have had to pay these pensions. So once upon a time, the average life expectancy to pay out an NIS pension would have been up to age 74, 75, thereabouts. But we see persons are now living well into their 90s, and we have a number of centenarians. So a lot of people are crossing the 100 threshold, far exceeding the number of years that it was projected that they would be receiving this pension. So what happens is, of course, that the longer you live is the greater the likelihood you will outlive the amount of money that you would have put in to the NIS fund, you and your employer, because you pay 1/3 and your employer pays 2/3. So that extra money has to come from somewhere to pay those persons who outlive their money. So that is the reason why. So for those persons who unfortunately do not benefit from longevity, those persons who die early on in their 60s and so on, and would have only received the NIS pension for a few years, just a couple of years or so, and that have outlived their contributions now stays in the pot to pay those persons who would outlive their contributions. So let's say, for example, somebody who would have contributed at the lower rung of the earnings classes for most of their working lives, or most of their contribution periods would have been at the lower rung. So let's say this person, when they reach 60, they have $400,000 in contributions in the NIS pot, right? But they're earning a pension of $3,000 a month. By 12, that's $36,000 a year. If this person collects pension for 20 years, so they live to age 80, that's $720,000 they would have received in pension, but they only contributed $400,000. So that extra $320,000 has come from somewhere. So it will come from somebody who would have contributed, probably, let's say, the higher earnings class would have had, let's say, $600,000 or $700,000 in their fund when they turn 60, and this person dies at 64 or 65. So they would have gotten $180,000 out of the $700,000 that they put in. So the difference, the next $520,000, stays in the pool to pay this person who would have only put in $400,000 but lived to age 80 and would have collected $720,000. So that's it. So there's no payment to your beneficiaries. All they get, well, your family, all they would get is the $7,500 pension. Not pension, sorry, the funeral grant, and that's it. So, in fact, if there is a situation where additional payments are made to the account of the pensioner after they die, NIB will write a letter to whoever is the person would have applied for the funeral grant to inform them that a payment was remitted subsequent to the person's death, and they will actually ask you to pay it back. And I can speak from personal experience here, because in the case of my mom, when she died in 2016, she died on the 28th of February. And between the time that she died, because no, I think the NIS pension was paid somewhere around the 14th of the month. So between the time that she died and when we would have gone to NIB, that span, that period of time, fell within when they would have already run the pay sheet for February month. So it was already in train. So that's how come the money ended up going into her account. And then I got a letter about a month after from NIB saying that, well, a payment went in after we had submitted documents and so on. And they indicated that you had to return the payment. But I indicated to them, well, I'm not responsible for that. I don't have access to my mother's bank account. So we'll have to wait until the estate is settled, and then we deal with that. So that's the answer. Patriot. Yeah. So it works, and even if you have a personal pension, a private pension plan, a deferred annuity with a private company, let's say an insurance company, Maritime, Sagicor, Guardian, whoever, there's something called a minimum guarantee period, which you are required to put on at the point or the inception of the policy. So you're given the option 5, 10, or 15 years. That 5, 10, or 15 years is for the benefit of your beneficiary. So that if you die after you start receiving the pension, whichever guarantee period you choose, your beneficiary would continue to receive the pension until the expiration of that chosen guarantee period. So let's, for example, if you chose a 10-year minimum guarantee period and you died 5 years after you started receiving your pension, the insurance company will continue to pay your beneficiary for the remaining 5 years for that 10-year period. Right? After that 10-year period expires, that's it. And the same thing applies. Now, they would continue to pay your beneficiary for the 5 years, but whatever pension your beneficiary receives in that 5 years would not exhaust your fund. So essentially, whatever extra is left over remains with the company and goes to pay those persons, again, who live very long and who would outlive their money. So if you live long and you have a personal pension plan, possibility exists you will outlive your money, but the insurance company is obligated to continue to pay you until you die. It's a lifetime pension. So you could outlive your contributions, but you still continue to receive your pension until you die. So that is why it is advisable to at least have a minimum guarantee period. Some people choose, they don't want any minimum guarantee period because they want the biggest or the highest pension they could get. But if you make that choice, and let's say you die 2 years after you start receiving the pension, everything else in your fund stays in the fund. Your beneficiaries your family doesn't get anything. So these are things that have to be explained to persons, right? Yes. So, morning Patriot, I hope no problem. Yeah. When we say we educate and inform here, we do that. Not like what happens in other places. Right. So, yesterday, I don't know how many of you all saw that story last night with the guns and ammunition that the police would have recovered yesterday as a result of the exercise conducted relative to the attempted assassination of the Deputy Commissioner of Prisons. And the amount of guns and so on, people were saying, when I read the comments on Facebook, people were saying, well, so that's what it takes for them to go and find all this ammunition and find all these guns. It's only when high-profile people life under threat that the police is working and all of that. But anyway, at the end of the day, we have a significant cache of guns and ammunition off the street. And the type of weapons that we were seeing laid out on that table is cause for concern. But fortunately, fortunately, the police were able to recover that. The unfortunate thing, however, is that it's quite likely that those guns and ammunition would be replaced in record time. Wherever it is they're coming from, through legal ports of entry, to the illegal ports of entry, they will be replaced, and I'm sure there's a lot more like that out there, but we are grateful for whatever the police can do to get as much of it off of the street. And that is what we need more. The police needs to ramp up activities like this. When it is the criminal elements, see that, look, the police making headway and they're taking guns off of the street, it is going to, well, to use Gary Griffith's term, peg back the criminals, so to speak. But the problem right now is that the criminals aren't afraid of law enforcement. And the police need to take back that control. Yeah? They need to take back that control. I think, personally, I think we need to see a return of, or a heightening of the joint police army patrols, even if to have the army just extra boots on the ground, not proposing what was suggested under the People's Partnership that you give soldiers powers of arrest and all of these different things, but they could support the police in terms of numbers. So that would enable them choose the hotspot areas. And once you have a presence, if it is that you have to set up some sort of post in these different hotspot areas and there is constant police army presence, that would make it difficult, of course, for the criminals to be able to move. So once you have a police post in particular areas and you have numbers, if you see a suspicious looking vehicle, it's not a problem to pull them over and just search, check them out, see what it is going on. And that certainly would keep them at bay. We're not saying that this has to be done throughout the country because it's not the entire country is deemed hotspot areas, but the areas where the majority of ammunition and arms are being found and where you know that there are criminal elements known to the police, that's what you need to do. Focus on those areas first, and whatever intelligence they got. I say again, this is the point that continues to be made. If you see something, say something. If you know something, say something. So whoever provided that intelligence to the police yesterday to enable them to be able to go out and conduct the raid and recover this arms and ammunition, kudos to you. We need more persons like that. More persons like that to come forward so that the police can go out there and do what it is that they do. But the hypocrisy yesterday, I was looking forward to Rudal Munila's presentation, as I would have told you all a few days ago. In fact, he was 2 days late, or 1 day late, because normally he would present on the Tuesday. But I guess he was waiting for, I don't know if he was waiting for Rohan Sinanan to speak, but he spoke on a number of things. I don't know what he's the shadow minister of, because he didn't only speak about works and transport issues. He talked about crime, he talked about housing, he was just all over the place. But what stood out for me, of course, is the fact that once again, Rudal Munila has shown himself to be a quintessential clown. This man cannot give a presentation without trying to be funny, without trying to crack jokes that is really, really stale, and you just sit down there and it's like, okay, what do you want for that? A penny? You want a clap for that? You're not funny. Apparently, he thought the budget debate was again, amateur night at the Hawk and Spit. So he come with his foolish, his brutish talk. I mean, keep it serious now. The time that you're wasted trying to crack jokes, you could have been talking about something a little more serious. But you're cracking these foolish jokes and looking around, looking for support from your colleagues. Are ridiculous. But I crave your indulgence, folks. Let me just play a little bit. Just a little bit. I know it's difficult to listen to he and listen to Anil and certain others, but bear with me this morning. I know people will put in the comments to spare you. Yeah, I know that. I know I'll get to spare you. But I know a lot of people would not have been listening yesterday, and certain things that were said. That again, I always say if hypocrisy was a party, it would be that party. But let me just get this here. All right. Put this on. I remember to charge this device. Try this again. Terrence Cummings, morning. Charmaine Superville, morning to you. Annette McConney, morning. Cyril Mayas, morning. Melka Rock, morning to you. Annette Beard. Annette. Yeah. Mercedes, morning to you. Yes, Sarah, he is in fact the class clown. But just bear with me for 1 second. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but there's just some things he said that need to be addressed, right?
And while I am happy as a southerner to hear of this highway to Point Fortin, 20 minutes I'm told it will take to Point Fortin to visit my friend from Point Fortin down there. But the minister is 55 minutes, and I wish he had more time, honestly. I wish the minister had more time, because to this day, the minister has not told us how you will reach in 20 minutes passing through the mosquito crack. Because that is not fixed. A year and a half later, we have no report. We are told $64 million more because they built a piece of the highway at the Mosquito Creek around there, and Madam Speaker, it broke up like Crick's biscuit on your plate. And that is what we face. So we can't go 20 minutes to Point Fortin, I'm afraid, if we have to pass through the Mosquito Crack. The minister told us about drainage and bridges and so on, but Minister, I want to alert you. You and my friends on the other side are an opposition in waiting. You are in the departure lounge. And we want to check your luggage before you leave. They are in the departure lounge, 20 months or so left. So nobody will believe any plans and programs. Nobody will accept it. Madam Speaker, today we heard from the minister there telling us, about climate change and so on. The Manzanilla Road breaking up since 1973. We hear about climate change today. Madam Speaker, we heard about all the grand plans in Sandy Grande. Everything the minister touched, he says, that is a nightmare. This is a nightmare. That is a nightmare. 8 years is a nightmare of the PNL. 8 years they have been there. So, as I said, I don't want to get too carried away. The minister told us that what we will be resembling India by land use and so on soon. I tell him, India just put a rocket on the moon, you couldn't land a plane in Tobago. But we would be like India and so on, The minister is clearly passionate and excited by that sector. And in 22 months from now, I am sure he will avail himself of some employment opportunity around the sector when the United National Congress forms the government of Trinidad. Because he may have some talent that we don't know about. Madam Speaker, yeah, because when you look around opposite, I don't know what they'll be doing in 20 months from now, Half of them are unemployable, the next half untrainable. I don't know what they will be doing. Madam Speaker, let me get to the point immediately. Madam Speaker, no one listening to this debate would believe the state of the country we are in. No one.
So you wasted all that time trying to be funny, talking about where will the ministers sitting on the government side, where will they be in 20 months? So I'll tell you where they'll be. Same place that they are now. Same place that they are now. This clown continues to mislead the faithful of the UNC. And, it's amazing, Amazing. And they're buying that nonsense, talking about this is a minority government and, the August 14th election was a litmus test. And that United National Congress did so well because they got the popular vote. Again. But he doesn't need reminding because he knows what it is that he's doing and what it is that he's attempting to do. Right? Popular vote, so they win 170-something thousand votes, as opposed to the PNM 130. And with 130,000, it is tied at 70-70. 70-70, same amount of thing. You will probably pick up 2 extra seats. PNM take back a seat from Olena Rayman. So on. The fact of the matter is, again, we need to remind, for the benefit of supporters of that party listening, we go back to 2019, where you all got 202,000 votes. In the local election, the PNM got 161,000. You all won the popular vote. So based on his logic, you all should have won the 2020 general election. Is the UNC in government? No, they're not. You know why? Because 8 months later, the PNM came back, got an additional 161,000 votes to get 322,000 in the election that mattered most, the general election. They won the popular vote and the most amount of seats. Where was he? Why wasn't he touting the popular vote from 2019 from 8 months earlier? Where was he? So the same logic he comes back with in 2023 to tell earlier that because the UNC got the popular vote, that was a litmus test and the population has spoken. And in 2025, the UNC will be coming back into office. Really? All right. All you who buying that from that party, hear what? I have the deed to Buckingham Palace. I'm selling it for $1 million. Yes. Check my number. 7701763. I have the deed to Buckingham Palace. But there are plenty of you who believe in that. But anyway, but 2 years to go, with work taking place, development taking place, infrastructural development, we're seeing improvements across the country. We are seeing where the Ministry of Energy is making strides with respect to improving the country's gas supply, gas supply. All of these things that happen. But you feel the minister is just going to sit down on their laurels for the next 20 months or so, as he said, or the next 22 months and do nothing? Really? Okay. Same people who saying that this was an election budget and this was a mama guy budget to fool the people. Well, okay. If the only thing that the UNC has to hold on to in terms of hope to win 2025 is the 170, the reduction they went from with Gary, and we stress this point again, with Gary and NTA and with Jack is back, you all got less votes overall than you did in 2019. Less votes. And between 2020 to now, there are a number of other things that they have told you need to be vexed with this government about: crime and unemployment and the high food prices and all of these things. With all of that, right? PNM should have been sitting on only about 3 or 4 corporations. Instead, they still have 7, right? Still have 7, and depending on how the court matter with respect to Lingua Indian work goes, they will have more seats than the UNC. But he ain't talking about that now. Only thing in their favor that they're telling you guarantees that they will come back into office in 2025 is they win total 189,000 votes in the August 14th election, 13,000 less than they got in 2019. Talk about delusional. Kamlamatics, where less is more. Bear with me.
No one would believe that on this day, when I stand to speak in this debate, this morning was an assassination attempt on a deputy commissioner of prisons in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm finished with you. You can go. Yeah, Madam Speaker.
You see how he disrespectful? Disrespectful, telling the minister, yeah, I'm finished with you, you could go. You see? The minister probably got up to leave because he didn't need to hear you, and he has better things to do. He has a job to do. He has projects to go and look into for the benefit of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, right? For what his ministry is responsible for improving their lives. So he don't have time to sit down and listen to this idiot demonstrate to the nation how much of a clown he is. But I guess he probably felt like that the minister didn't want to sit down and listen to him. He could only take him for 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, no one will believe that there was an attempt on the life of a deputy commissioner of prisons. Today we extend very deep concern for Mr. Steve Phelps, prison officer, who was shot this morning at 7 a.m. or around there in an attempt to assassinate a deputy commissioner of prisons. This is where this country has reached, Madam Speaker. We have heard from the prison officers suggesting that it is a matter of hours before prison officers may walk out of the prison and go home and abandon their post. And the Prime Minister, the Minister of National Security, in the last 8 hours or so, have said nothing about this. That is a very scary development in a country when you have an attempt to assassinate such an office holder. Madam Speaker, this speaks to the collapse of the intelligence agencies. They have collapsed. You know, they know when the UNC holding a protest over the flyover Monroe Road. They know when we protest in Debe Junction. But they don't have intelligence as to who is going to assassinate, attempt to kill a deputy commissioner. The entire intelligence agency should be fired forthwith. That you cannot intervene, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the political leader of this side, the government.
So he's calling for the entire intelligence agencies and so on to be fired, right? Because they didn't detect that there was a hit on the life of the deputy prisons commissioner, right? So we don't know if this plot was hatched 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 1 day ago, but he is saying, yeah, intelligence supposed to pick that up. I want to ask Munilal, talking about this is the state where this country has reached, when it is that you can have an assassination attempt on such an office holder. Where was the intelligence apparatus, Munilal, when it is Dina Sitahal was killed in 2014, under the government of which you were a part? Where was the intelligence agencies then? And that was clearly well planned, well orchestrated, right? That the way that was carried out, that wasn't planned in 2 days or a week. That had to been planned for quite some time, because they know where she was, they knew her routine and so on. She was followed. They decided where it is they were going to ambush her and so on. Where was the intelligence apparatus then? At that time, she was a special prosecutor in a very high-profile case, right? The murder of Vendra Naipal Kuhlman. She, Israel Khan, and this other guy, can't remember his name. These 3 attorneys who were retained to serve as special prosecutors to ensure that the 9 men who were accused, like Gilbert Peterson is the third, that these 9 men who were accused of Vendra Naipal Kuhlman's murder, that they were convicted. Yeah? Cost of $50,000 a month, according to Israel Khan, each of them. But Dina Sitahal was murdered. Dina Sitahal was no ordinary citizen. She was a senior counsel, noted senior counsel at that. Your intelligence didn't pick up that, Munila. But let's go a step further. In 2015, July of 2015, you all had a prison break. The prison in Port of Spain, Frederick Street, which resulted in the death of 1 police officer and the death, I think, of at least 1 prisoner. But that attempted prison break involved the use of hand grenade and guns and so on. Where was the intelligence apparatus then, Munilal? You all didn't pick up that? How the grenade got into the prison? How did the gun get into the prison? Because you know what, the intelligence apparatus under you all was so great and so wonderful, working so well. Really? How is it that the intelligence apparatus didn't know that Rishmi lied about her credentials for you all to put her as the head of the SSA? You didn't know that a simple resume was falsified. All of the people who were presenting false papers. How come the intelligence agencies didn't know that, Munila? But you want to give us the impression it was working so well under you all. And you weren't calling for the entire intelligence apparatus to be dismantled between 2010 to 2015. I'm curious. What about this so-called event that was supposed to happen according to John Sandy, that would have made the 1990 Tea Party look like the 1990 coup look like a Tea Party? That's what we were told, resulting in a state of emergency in 2011. Really? Did the intelligence apparatus work then? Because you told us all they had information that what was going to happen. So the coup, and we know how the coup went down, that what was planned and what was in train would have made the coup look like a Tea Party. Yet still not 1 bullet recovered, not 1 gun recovered, and not 1 man arrested for this great grand plan that was going to take place, this big coup to overthrow the government. Not 1 person arrested. Kamla Prasad Bisesa told us here that there's information that there was a hit out on her life and an assassination attempt. Who got locked up for that? And was anybody arrested? Munilal? Anybody? Where was the intelligence with respect to live sport? When all of these fictitious companies are getting millions of dollars in contracts. The intelligence couldn't tell which one of them was criminal elements. Really? But you want to come now and talk about the intelligence agencies should be fired forthwith. Really? Munila? We saw a newspaper article come out last week. 23 cell phones found in the prison, along with other contraband like marijuana and so on. And I asked the question, how did all of this get into the prison? How did these 23 cell phones get into the prison? The prisoner's not allowed to leave, to go out and get it and come back, right? And the prisoners on whom it was found, these were persons who've been incarcerated for a while. And we know they're not supposed to have cell phones in the prison. How did it get in? How it reach inside? Did it walk? Right? Did these cell phones just suddenly get life and they decided to jump over the wall and walk into the cells of these prisoners? and the other contraband and so on, the marijuana, how did it get there, Munilal? You see, when these things happen, there is no commentary from them. We're not addressing that. The number of prisons officers who over the last few years, last couple of years, have found themselves on the other side of the law, have found themselves facing the potential of becoming inmates in the very institutions where they would have worked for a number of years. Yeah? They're taking chances. How many of them, where their bags would have been searched or lockers were searched, and in these lockers and so on, they found cell phones and marijuana and cigarettes and the like. That's how it's coming into the prisons. But we're not addressing that aspect of it. We're not addressing, okay, what was the potential motive for putting out a hit? We keep hearing about hits being called from behind the prison walls. How is that happening? How are they making interact? Because there's only three ways. It's either the prisoners have cell phones, it's either they're communicating something to persons who come and visit them, or they're working through certain prison officers. So when he talks about being a state and it's in a matter of hours before the prison officers abandon their posts and go home. Really? Isn't that an essential service? I just asking. But we're not addressing that aspect of it, right? We're not talking about that. He has no interest in talking about that. Let us pretend and let us give the impression to the prison officers, yes, the UNC is on your side. Yes, we are here for you. I'm going to play that little piece just now. Yeah, don't worry. We will take care of you. We have your back because Hines can't do it and Rowley can't do it and the PNM can't do it. But yeah, we're here for you, right? But we're not talking about the officers who are engaging in illegal activity and bringing contraband into the prison that is able to facilitate these sorts of things. But they can't. Anyway, let me get this again. Bear with me for a little bit longer, folks.
And in waiting, Madam Speaker, gave a brilliant and comprehensive, detailed analysis of our problems, sector by sector, last Friday. We want to join our voices together and congratulate her on that presentation. But Madam Speaker, when I heard her, I sat here and I was frightened, I was nervous, I was anxious. I couldn't believe it's so much work we have to go and do again. And a lot of that work will fall on the slender and not so slender shoulders of my colleagues on this side. But we will have to work hard to save this country. It will not be easy. Madam Speaker, if you could tell me one thing they have built, I will tell you one thing that they have not destroyed. They have destroyed every sector. Every sector. We will have to rebuild to save this country, Madam Speaker. And in the budget brought no hope. And to hear my colleagues opposite speak on this budget, the member for Port of Spain, North, St. Anne's West, will eventually try to convince people that is the health sector. So I want to tell the Minister of Health that my constituent is rising when the police are now telling the police, be careful, be on high alert, be cautious, remain vigilant. That is police to police. If that is the state of where we have reached, then the government of Trinidad and Tobago has indeed collapsed. And you cannot expect, Madam Speaker, Trinidad and Tobago police officers and prison officers to work in this environment. Today, I want to tell the prison officers and the Trinidad and Tobago members of Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, I want to tell them that the United National Congress stands with them. And we will provide you with the equipment, with the resources, with the legislative framework so that you can work and be assured that you have some measure of safety. The Honorable Member for Siparia, Madam Speaker, will provide the resources, will provide the legal framework to support the police.
The Honorable Member for Siparia, the Prime Minister in waiting, as he called her earlier, will provide the legal framework to support the police. All right?
And the prison officers and law enforcement officers Madam Speaker, we have said to the police, and today we say to the police prison officers, stand your ground because we will stand our ground.
This man for real? The Police Welfare, Social Welfare Association, whatever it is they call themselves, within the last couple of weeks have indicated their frustration, have indicated the stress that they're going through as a result of laws that have come about and judgments that have come about because of people like Munilal and them, right? Mr. Dixon, who is the head of that association, would have indicated that the police, the same police who is telling, we will bring laws and don't worry, stand your ground, and the police and the UNC will stand with you. We will stand our ground and we will provide you, we have your back, and we provide you with all of the resources and so on. I want to ask Munilal, you could tell us, the person who pulled the trigger yesterday in that assassination attempt, could you tell us whether or not this individual may have had a criminal record before? Could it be that this person may have been in prison for murder and got bail and came out? Because that seems to be the norm these days. A lot of crimes being committed by persons who were incarcerated as a result of the hard work of the same police who you want to tell today, we have your back. And don't worry, the UNC will provide the legal framework. Yeah, well, they're providing the legal framework for the criminals to be able to get out of jail free. Persons who are accused of murder who should still be behind bars are today roaming the streets free to go back and engage in a life of crime. Why? Because of Anand Ramlogan and Jayanti Lakshmi. But when he wants to come and talk in the debate about what the UNC will do and how they will help the police, no. Right now, you all are a menace to the police. The UNC in parliament and outside of the parliament are a menace to the police in this country. You have created a revolving door for criminals. Commit your crime, come before the court, you get bail, go back out. Commit your crime, get bail, go back out. Who did that? Inside the parliament, they refused to support the bail amendment bill. So we can't lock you up for 120 days and deny you bail for gun crimes when you're a repeat offender. Yeah? Can't do that. Because UNC say that ain't making sense. Everybody is entitled to bail, the presumption of innocence. You're accused of killing a man. Yeah? We lock you up after months of painstaking investigations and so on. We lock you up. Come inside. And 2-3 days later, you're back out on the street. Who did that? Ramlogan, Lakshmi Diyal. Neither one of them are PNM. Right? Neither one of them. So when I listen to him on national TV, in the national parliament, talking about the government in waiting and the prime minister in waiting, will provide all of the necessary framework for the police and the national security services and the prisons officers and so on to protect them. I couldn't help but laugh. Another joke, right? And this for this stand-up comic wannabe, because you all have facilitated an environment in which persons could go into the prison and they have a beef with, they could be in there for a number of years, being held for murder, and they have a beef with a prison officer, and the opportunity presents itself for them to come out when they should remain behind bars until their matter is determined. Let us create opportunities for them and make it easy for them to come out of prison now and take revenge. Yeah? Let us make it easy for them to come outside now and reestablish a network. Those who were criminal masterminds, who were held and behind bars, could come back outside now and reestablish the network so that even if they get caught and go back inside, they know that they have their network set up so that they could still continue to run things from behind bars. They know that their criminal enterprise continues to thrive thanks to who? Jayanti Lakshmi, Anand Ramlogan, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and the next 18 misfits sitting on the opposition bench. But coming to lament the state of crime in this country, when it is that you have persons sitting on the opposition bench in the parliament, have themselves been accused of committing crimes and are out on bail. But you want to come and talk about crime and what you will do. This man who was named by the former commissioner of police before a joint select committee, sitting before a joint select committee in camera, where they had to kick him out of the joint select because his name was mentioned as having meetings with criminal elements in the Hyatt. Gary Griffith told us $40-something million the opposition was spending to engage in services of criminal element. What about that? Any one of them, the 19 of them in the parliament, and you heard any of them talk about that? You heard any of them ever come in the parliament and talk about that when they come in to lament the state of crime in this country? They wouldn't talk about that. No, and I really wish that when this debate reaches the Senate, I want Mrs. Prasad Bisesa to appoint Gary Griffith as a temporary senator to come and talk about crime. You could replace any of those misfits. We really don't need to hear from Lida. We don't need to hear from Nakid. We really don't need to hear from Anil Roberts either. Waste that time. In fact, none of the six of them in the Senate we need to hear from. Bring Gary Griffith. Let him come and talk about crime, because all of the recommendations and suggestions that she had last week Friday on how to treat with crime, I'm sure all of that came from Gary, because we never heard her talk about that before. None of that. So clearly, she gave Gary a work. Give us some ideas about crime so we can put in the budget response. So bring Gary in the Senate as a temporary senator and let him talk. And let me see if it is he's going to rehash and tell us, because since he has no problem revealing everything and anything that he was privy to as Commissioner of Police, come in the Senate and tell us about that 40-something million. I love to talk about the government give you $45 million to go after the opposition. Tell us about, again, this 40-something million that you claim the opposition had spent and being in cahoots. Tell us about Budal Munila's involvement, right? Where he admitted, sitting down in the Hyatt. Remember when he was Minister of Housing, he had a place called Rudy's Corner. Rudy's Corner in Hyatt, where they used to be eating Oreos and so on, according to one former Udicot executive. Yeah, niceness at taxpayers' expense. So come in Hyatt, never see come say, come and sit down in Rudy's Corner, let me drink something. We're drinking Scotch, we're eating, according to Annie Roberts. Shrimps. Yeah, shrimps. I never know the word shrimp had a T in it, but okay. Yeah. You're never too old to learn. Come in the Hyatt. You see, and again, these are the things when you have people like this clown coming in the parliament and talking that rubbish. Members opposite, members of the government you all need to put this in their face. Now, I don't know. I didn't listen. I heard him on my way home, right? So I was on the road. I put my station on the radio on 105.5 and I was listening, and that's how I heard this. But whoever responded after him, or who spoke after him on the government bench, you all should have jammed him, remind him of that he was thrown out of a joint select committee meeting on national security, again, because of what in the intelligence, the same intelligence agencies that he's saying should be dismantled and should be fired forthwith. Is it that he have an axe to grind because of the information and the intel that they provided with respect to his possible involvement with criminal activity and criminal elements? Is that why you want all of them to be disbanded today? I just asking the question. But whoever responded after him should have reminded him of that. That's what they should have done. Ask him about that. And what is their position with respect to the issue of bail for persons accused of murder? Remind him that it is because of them. Remind him that the Prasads in South, Mr. and Mrs. Prasad, their home was raided. They were beaten and robbed by a man who was incarcerated for murder but got bail thanks to the efforts of them. So don't come and tell me that no, but they're going to provide the police with the legal framework and the resources. After you all created the environment and created an opportunity for the criminal element to go after the police, you now want to give the police resources to fight back, to fight a problem that you all created, that should not have existed, where over 100 years in this country, persons accused of murder couldn't get bail. Way back when in the early 1900s, when the crime situation wasn't what it is today, the persons who were alive then had the common sense and the good sense to know that if it is you accused of murder, there is no bail. But it seems that as time progresses, instead of those of us who are alive today becoming more aggressive, we have the regressive United National Congress. And it has nothing to do with presumption of innocence. It has to do with creating a whole new pool of business for these attorneys, these unscrupulous attorneys. Realize, yes, you could get bail. I can apply for the bail for you, but it will cost you a piece of money. What is it that you'll find? All the briefs that you were getting when you were in government, you ain't getting it now, so that dry up. So you need to find other ways to make money. You didn't make enough money between 2010 to 2015, so now you need to fleece these prisoners as well. And again, I ask the question, and I'm just asking the question. Is it that we have the criminal element approaching these attorneys on behalf of these prisoners? Because I can't understand how somebody who was incarcerated from the age of 21 and who was in prison for about 14 years, right? 14 years, you could apply for bail for murder, and within days you get through. At 21 years old, where that money come from? Who willing to take that risk? Who was willing to take that risk? You didn't show up in court, so that money forfeit, and then you got killed. But they ain't gonna talk about that. That has nothing to do with the crime situation in the country. That don't contribute. You know what? The only reason why crime is where it is today is because Hines is a failure and Hines is incompetent, and Rowley don't want to fire Hines, and the PNM know what it is that they're doing and they can't fight crime. I'm not gonna bore you all anymore with him, right? But he went on to talk about infrastructure in the country and how this collapsing and that collapsing. And he spoke about some report with respect to HTC housing units and terrestrial lands. And this report that spoke about substandard housing and housing units were built without rebar and ring beam and all kind of thing. I don't know where that report came from. But you know what I find interesting? He has this report, wherever it came from. I don't know the veracity of it. But if there's one thing I've learned over the years is never to take anything Rudal Munilal says without salt. Yeah? This is the same man who came in 2017 and told the population during a press conference that the UNC had information in relation to the AV drilling matter that would bring down 4 governments. 4 governments, he said. We have information. Last I checked, Trinidad and Tobago only has 1 government, unless you want to check the de facto government in Tobago. So we know that at least, and at that time, the de facto government wasn't in Tobago, right? So there was only 1 government in Trinidad. So the other 3 were international. So he said, it was reported in the newspaper, that the UNC is in possession of information that could bring down 4 governments with respect to this AV drilling matter. 2020, you couldn't even bring down 1 government. Where is this information? This intelligence that you all had? Did you take it to the police? Because you all about fighting crime, and did you take this information that could bring down 4 governments? Because that to me is a very serious allegation. Very, very serious allegation. Did you ever take it to the police? Probably not. Because the government of Keith Rowley still stands, and I don't recall hearing any other government around the world fall because of this AV drilling matter. This is the same man who came into the parliament every year, coming to Bosamak. Yeah? He have a bombshell to drop, and when you check it, it's a firecracker. I was looking forward to hear the bombshell they say. Come and tell us that in 2017, thereabouts, that Dr. Rowley has some bank account in Miami, that he, Munilal, traveled all the way to Miami to get information about this bank account and $500,000 wire transfer and all of that. Yeah? And after he made that allegation, put it out in the public domain, you stick it in a manila folder and chuck it in a drawer, and come back 1 year later to complain. And in the budget debate of the following year, nobody ain't come and talk to you. The police ain't contact you for no information. You didn't see it fit to take the information to the police. Right? 1 year later, your boy Gary was the commissioner. Why didn't take the information to him? You sit down, come in the parliament to complain. Madam Speaker, 1 year later, I am yet to be contacted by the police after I made it. You don't know where the police station is? It have more than 1 police station. I'm sure you have Gary Griffith number on your phone. You could have called him when he was appointed commissioner. But you come to complain. The same Gary Griffith investigated the matter and basically said that you're a damn liar. Yeah? That had no merit in it. None. And then you come to say, well, I don't know what the commissioner talking about, but I never talk about no bank account. I said a wire transfer. And my information from police sources is that in the investigation into wire transfer is still ongoing. Prompting the commissioner, Gary Griffith, to call a press conference to debunk you, to rebuke you and say, I don't know what investigation Munilal talking about, but as commissioner, I'm telling you, every single investigation with respect to those allegations that he made in the parliament 1 year ago, every single investigation is closed. And unless new information comes to hand, there is no there. That claim by Munilal was a damn blasted lie. Okay? So he could talk what he wants and say, I don't know if he run in a parallel police service, but the police service that I lead, this is Gary Griffith saying this, the police service that I lead has not conducted any further investigation into that claim about any $500,000 wire transfer or any bank account or anything else. So tell Munilal, rock so. That was Gary. So when he comes now to talk, and I don't take him serious. He speaks because he has a mouth and he has a platform, so to do. But the man has shown himself to be a liar. This is the same man who came again in another budget debate, hold up a picture of our office and telling all of this picture was taken in a house in DB that belongs to the owner of AV Drilling. That's what he said. Held up the picture and said, right. And the next day, picture published on the front page of the Newsday, and Ansel Roger, right? In the picture, it was Ansel Roger and the head of some company that they were courting at the time to provide them with the finance to purchase the Petrotrin refinery and all of that. Roger called the media and said, come and see this. Look the picture here on the front page of the Newsday. You see this couch here? Look at it. You see the cabinet? Look at it. Right. You see this painting on the wall? Look at them. Where was that? An office at OWTU headquarters. At Paramount Building. Yeah, the office there. And Roger went on to say, but Munilal has been in this office before. So he's supposed to know the office. So whoever tell him where he gets it from that this picture was taken in an office in a house in DB belonging to AV Drilling, I don't know where he get that from. Did he ever apologize? No. But he put it out there because the waterfront ilk will take that and run with it. All part of the grand conspiracy to say that the government closed down Petrotrin refinery because of AV Drilling matter. So again, I don't take him seriously. But he come with this report and talking about terrestrial lands and substandard housing and all of that. Again, he know plenty about HDC and plenty about the Ministry of Housing now. But when he was Minister of Housing, in this court matter that is taking place right now between him and Dr. Rowley, with the lawsuit he brought against Dr. Rowley where Dr. Rowley made certain statements with respect to Munilal having questions to answer over Eden Gardens, where they paid $175 million for a piece of land valued at 52 Caroni lands. In his testimony in that case, he don't know nothing. Yes, I was the Minister of Housing, but I don't recall giving any instructions to HDC on that matter. I don't recall. He can't recall nothing. He don't know nothing. He was the minister. Today, you're saying that the Minister of Housing should be held responsible for whatever this report says, and Noel Garcia must go and who must go. But when you were Minister of Housing and all that money spent, $175 million for a piece of land valued at 52, you didn't know nothing about that. You weren't aware that was happening. So that minister mustn't go. Yeah? That was an HDC transaction. So you weren't aware. You allowed HDC to do their work. But you would not afford the same courtesy to the current Minister of Housing, right? Yeah, the minister must take blame, but you mustn't take no blame for the things that happened under you. All right. But we must take you seriously. And then following on his heels, you had the next clown, Saddam Hussein. Spoke up a whole pack of rubbish. Yeah, again, Heinz must go, and Heinz this, and Heinz that, and Heinz. Fed up here about that. But the government indicated in the budget that they would be hiring an additional 1,000 police officers to increase the strength of the police service. Obviously, that would help to replace those officers who are retiring, officers who are currently on leave, officers who are on suspension. As we know, the strength of the police force, the police service in this country is to some extent weakened because of all of those things. Every year you have officers, senior officers retiring. I think I saw last week, Joanna Archie is now retired and she's now the head of the corporate communications department of the TTPS, but she's no longer a serving police officer. And you have persons like people like Margaret Sampson and all of these folks who have moved on. And officers need to replace them. Saddam Hussein has an issue with the government's stated intention to hire an additional 1,000 police officers. Instead, his solution is you have 3,000 SRPs. So why not take 1,000 of those SRPs and integrate them into the TTPS? So the numbers don't change. The number of boots, there's nothing preventing the police, the government now, or the police service from calling these 3,000 SRPs to come and assist the police service. So the numbers don't change. So he's telling you, keep it as is. So if it is that you have 7,000 police officers in the TTPS and 3,000 in SRP, you have 10,000. We don't want to take it to 11,000, so we have an additional 1,000 officers on the beat, right? No. We leave it at 10, but just incorporate 1,000 SRPs into the TTPS. And what will that do? But these are the same people who complaining about unemployment and no opportunities for the citizens of this country, and the government only sending home people. But here it is, an opportunity presents itself for 1,000 persons between the ages of 18 to 35 to join the police service. An additional 1,000 persons to strengthen the police force. He's telling you, now we don't need that. So you see the 1,000 jobs that Ole will create there, we don't need that because we need to continue to jam Ole and say that you Ole create no jobs. Ole ain't creating no jobs. So I hope the persons, the hopefuls who heard that and say, what opportunity boy? I could go and join the police service, right? I could make a difference. The same party whose previous speaker telling you, well, don't worry, we'll work with the police and we'll provide you a little. They are saying they don't need that. They don't need that. So they're saying the 1,000 jobs that could be created, telling the government, we don't need that 1,000 jobs. So the 1,000 persons who see that as an opportunity to get sustainable employment, among other things, forget that. Yeah? That's the UNC's response. That is their suggestion on how to deal with crime. And then, before I move on from them, for the first time, I heard somebody from that side mention or make mention of supposedly the number of houses that the UNC built between 2010 to 2015. That clip yesterday, I heard Munilal say they built 7,000 houses between 2010 to 2015. This is the first time. Maybe I missed it before. Don't think so. The first time I heard anybody from the People's Partnership Government, anybody from the UNC, say that they built 7,000 houses between 2010. Where they build those 7,000 houses? I scratching my head to figure out, because to build 7,000 houses, it means that you need to have had several new housing developments. Are struggling. I know they didn't build no house in Trestry, because as I keep saying, when Munilal told us something about some 1,200 houses already for occupation and so on, Trestry lands was one of them. And the media went to see, all they found in Trestry lands, I always tell you, a load of sand, a load of gravel, tobacco. That was it. So I don't know, as I always say, if they were building houses for ants and Bachak, wasn't building houses for people. So I don't know where the 7,000 houses that he said they built between 2010 to 2015, where they built that. But I would love to know. 7,000 houses? So from 2010 to 2013, 13 years. None only ever mentioned that. We keep hearing only build 106 schools and 106 schools. So you're trying to tell me 106 schools is a bigger boast than 7,000 houses? That 2020 general election, nobody in talk about only build 7,000 houses. 2015 general election, nobody boast about you all build 7,000 houses. We now hearing that. I never heard Kamala say that. I never heard Padarat say that, or any of the others say that. So I just try to know where these 7,000 houses built. Anybody can help me? Did they build that in Port of Spain? They didn't build it in Arima. They didn't build it in Dabadi Omera. They didn't build it in Lopino Bonnet West. They didn't build it in... I confused. No, they didn't build it in Diego Martin. None of the Diego Martin East, Northeast, Diego Martin West, or Diego Martin Central, right? So I'm pretty certain, in none of the 12 constituencies that the PNM held between 2010 to 2015, as far as I know, they didn't build any houses there. So I don't know if the next 7,000 houses built, but I would love anybody who knows, right, where the 7,000 houses were built, please help me out now. Help me out now. Otherwise, a word to the wise is sufficient, right? I wouldn't say it, but you know what he is. So that's why I said I don't take nothing this man says seriously. Okay? No, I wouldn't put you or suffer you all through having to listen to Anil Roberts. I wanted to play the response of that viral video with the schoolgirl who was in the altercation with the teacher. And the mother responded. There are mixed views with respect to the mother's position. There are those who feel that she should be given an opportunity. There are those who commiserate with her. All right, before so there's two videos I'm gonna play. Was the time there? Okay. Sure. Let me see. I'm gonna play this one for you. This is the mother of the yes, son.
Not for that. As parents, because
yes. Get it.
But parents, please, let's be careful what we say out there and blaming parents because watch me. Sometimes parents trying hard, we trying hard with our children, we send our children to school, we try our best. And we don't know after the children leave from home what is going through the children's mind and the outside day. So parents have to be careful how we point hands at parents because it's a single parent by themselves without a father. And father, then the Lord alone knows sometimes what them children leave from home in their mind with. Sometimes parents doesn't know what really good taking place. Too much of violence and crime that's going on outside there, and we doesn't know. And sometimes we come like the bad mother. Sometimes we're not the bad mother. But we try with best and we try with total best of our children. But Lord Father, then you alone know. And sometimes people fighting on, I don't want my child in this from this. We can't stop that. We can stop crime, we can stop violence. Is any God to change this whole country and the situation this morning, this whole generation? Because is any God. Let me put our trust in God. And let me stop fighting down one in this country. These days, as something happens, is one that fighting down one in this side, we're lifting up one. So let me continue to ask God, whatever situation that the children going through, hold on one another and let's give the parents whatever is strength. What is the situation? Because sometimes them children again, you're giving them God and they want God. They didn't want party. We can force a child to take God. Sometimes the parents trying their best with our child. But as one thing happens, parents get it become like the worst parents. But I want to say this morning, I'm not a bad mother. I am a mother, 8 children, and I know what my daughter do. I'm not proud about this. So I'm not condemning, let's say like something is something good, is something bad. I know it's something bad. I'm not pleased about it, but I can't beat her. I can't take the situation in my hand. I talk to her, I say, try the hand, how we stuff for your teacher. But it have who ain't know what going this. Oh, the mother this and the mother is showing she. They have it wrong. They have it wrong. We try our best with our children. We try our best. You can make a child, but you can't make their mind. Alright, so let me stop blaming parents this morning. Stop blaming the parents, please. Alright. And I want to say, you have a lot of people outside there, we doesn't know what parents are going through. You have a lot of I going through that situation that a lot of people be, oh, I'm mad, oh, I this. But if I'm mad, oh, God have no outside here. So you see, those who doesn't know the situation we're going through. I am a hard-working parent. I try my best with my children. Yes, we can sit down there sometimes. Sometimes I try, but sometimes I try and I try to control my daughter. It's not just like I give up. I have parents just continue trying. Whatever my children want, I fight. I don't want beg no one, I teach no one. But if I'm going to school, I act like a jackass. While they curse the teacher, while you do something wrong for them. Yes, and I say, hey, the mother bad. Yes. What the daughter will take up for mommy come in here. It was so nice. But I didn't mean to say because she called me mommy. I go to school and teach. I never violence mother. I go to school and make peace with my daughter and the principal. I was saying, yeah, that's good. The child and then brought up in the yeah, she brought up. They brought up some children come back home and told to be bad. Because why? It's the company they're following. You could tell me who you are by the friends you go by. Sometimes the friends we follow this video. Here the children kind of the class. Beat the teacher. Before they say Trevian, calm down. I respect the children back in she up. They beat the teacher. So you see now, she getting back up. So why she getting the back up, you know, she kind on, and she know the children laughing and papi showing she behind she back. So I hope she learn from this and seeing the friend say that she have is not she friend this morning. I talking to she here and if anybody you see on the line. I just try hard with my children. I try. And it's nothing I did to do. Sometimes I say, Lord Father, what I going to do? Why is me going through this situation? Why is me alone God? But not with the question God. God alone know and God know the situation. I say I is perfect. There's nobody perfect outside here. That one they are condemning. Is any God to condemn me? Is any God know what I pass through? Any God know my heart? Is any God know my cry? Is any God know what pain I going through? And God know what battle I fighting? Because every day I get up, I pass through a battle. There's enemies surround me every day that I wake.
Right. So the mother says she can't be the daughter. All she could do is tell her to have respect for the teacher, and she hopes that she learns from this situation. I hear what she's saying, that she's going through it and whatever challenges she's facing. But that cannot be, from where I said, a valid excuse for indiscipline. The fact that her daughter felt, if it is, all right, I know if when I was in school, that if I found myself in such a situation, which I would not have, again, because of the way that I was brought up, if I was a student in these times with the same parent that I had, the same single mother, right? Then I know I can pick up the phone and call my mother and say, the mother that I had, Mommy, come in school now, and start off the conversation by cursing, right? I know I couldn't do that. And it makes no sense. I would know to myself, it don't make no sense calling my mother and tell her come in school now. Because if I call my mother and say, Mommy, come in school now, when I hang up the phone with her, the next thing I would need to do is to call Clark and Batu or Belgroves. Yeah? That's what I need to do. Or call the ambulance, because I know what would happen when she reach. And I am saying, yes, we understand. You may be going through some stuff. You said that you have 8 children. And I don't think all 8 of those children are going to school. I'm sure some of them are adults. So you're no longer responsible for them. So the 1 or 2 or 3 that may still be going to school, the span of control in terms of persons that you have to discipline is still limited. So to simply say, well, you're going through it and whatnot, and you try your best. I am of the firm view. If you are a disciplinarian from day one and your child know what time it is, right? Your child know what time it is, in no way they stepping out of line. And from day one, that is what parents need to do. Lay down the law. Too many of you all want to be your children's friend, and that is the problem. That it seems that when they're in primary school, you realize that you are a parent and you have control. But from the time they reach teenagers and they're in secondary school, the whole dynamic change. And all of a sudden, because some of you all parents figure that when your child reaches 13 and 14, that they're adults. So I don't need to exercise the same level of supervision that I used to when they were going to primary school, because they were young then, but now they are young adults and they can make certain decisions on their own. And therefore, I am going to loosen the reins, because their ability to reason is a little better than when they were in standard 3 and standard 4. But now they're going to secondary school and they're traveling on their own and so on. And they have certain friends and the like. And so, yeah, that ease that I was looking for. So now, whereas before when they were in primary school, if I had to go out and needed somebody to look after them, a babysitter, now they are teenagers, I could leave them on their own and I could do it as I want. Now I could involve them in certain conversations. So when people come home and we sit down talking, they could sit down in the midst. But there was a time when you ain't allowing that. Right? There's adults talking, move from here, go so. But now you're 13 and you're 14 or 15. Yeah, you figure that they're old enough to sit down in the midst and partake in the conversation. And you giving them the impression that they're big, that they're adults. Right? I heard the mother talking about the friends and the friends who were goading her on, be the teacher, and she hopes that she understands now that the friends that she has are not her friends. I have a concern with that, because it tells me, yes, you say you're trying, but at what point in time did you lose control over your daughter? Was it last year? Is it now? And that's what you all need to do. At what point did you all lose this control? Because there's always a time when a child is afraid of their parents. When did that fear go away? And what would have caused that fear to dissipate? What? Right? You must always, and again, I am speaking from personal experience, that my mother always made sure she had a firm hand. Even when my brother, I never forget, was 21, 22 years old. My mother cut any tail. You want to go out the road and fight? And I tell you, keep your tail inside. Huh? And when I look around, you going out the road to fight? Well, and she didn't wait for him to come home. As soon as she got a report, he outside, he went out and to fight. She went and meet him out the road and cut his tail from out the road until he reached back home. She used to always say, don't run, because if you run, it will be worse. Always. So we knew, hey, you do this, you know what the consequences will be. My mother, it was an abuse, but we know. My mother was a disciplinarian. She expected certain things from us, sending you all to school to learn, not to go and look for boyfriend and girlfriend. Don't come and tell me nothing but you want to go down islands. You want to go, back then you wanted to go to Pier 1 and Club Coconuts and all these things for party. No, don't even bother to come and ask me because you know what the answer will be. Forget that, right? Because I don't want to be my child to be a statistic on any news, on the newspaper, on the evening news to hear that you get killed or you was involved in something or somebody friend you went with and somebody, the designated driver, end up drinking and you end up a statistic because some accident. Just no, that's all right. When you finish school, you could do whatever it is you want. You're an adult, I leave it to you. But so long as you're under my charge, under my roof, and I have responsibility for you, and the law says that if you do something, I'm responsible as a parent, you abide by my rules. Simple. Simple. She had no disciplinary issues with us, save and except for those one or two occasions. In every family, you always have one black sheep, right? My eldest brother, my mother's first child, he was the only one who, after my father died, he just went astray, and but still, so he would leave and come back. But whenever he came back, mother used to always let him know, if you're under my roof, you abide by my rules, right? And if you can't do that, hit the road. Hit the road. I always remember that time when she jacked him up on the wall and let him know, I don't play. It's Cassius play inside here. Manos, as she used to tell him. For the rest of us, we knew what we had to do. And we are all the better for it today. So while I understand and I commiserate, I hear what the mother is saying about the trials and the struggles, that she's a single parent of 8 children and so on. And she's saying that she tried her best. But what is the yardstick for best? What is the yardstick? I asking that question. So if it is you and your daughter had the same kind of hairstyle and you and your daughter wearing the same kind of clothes and she's 15 and you are, 40 something or 50 something, come on. You and your daughter can't be going partying in the same place. And why are you even talking about party at 15? What party? The only party she should be going to is birthday party, a house party. But when it had the block and all this kind of thing, really? Really? At 15? You know what can happen at these parties? Big men going to these parties and looking for these little vulnerable girls. And a girl no less. No? So you hope she learns her lesson based on what? What happened that she should learn from? Because as you say, you can't beat her. You ain't going to school to refer. So you're hoping that she learns from what? That this video went viral and the condemnation that she's getting from a significant portion of the population, that the embarrassment that it caused, that it would suddenly humble her? Or is it that she's now seen as a hero among her classmates? Kelly went viral thing, wherever it was on the news and whatnot and stuff. Yeah, and everybody applauding her. Yeah. So she might give you the impression that she learned. But as I said, now she have stripes. She get pips. Yeah? Don't play with she, because she tell Miss Way to get off. Was she suspended? I don't know. I haven't heard anything. But this indiscipline. And she's saying, don't blame the parents, don't blame. So there is no element of blame for the parent in this whole scenario. No element of blame. Blame everybody else. Blame society, blame the school, blame this, blame the friends. It's the friends. Blame her friends. Don't put any blame on the mother. Again, as I started off, the fact that your daughter knew that she could pick up the phone and call you and start the conversation with a curse word and there would be no consequences, for me, is very telling. The fact that she could tell you, come in school now, tells me that she was of the belief that you would have come. If she knew that you wouldn't, or didn't think that you would, she wasn't going to pick up the phone and call you. What gave her that impression that you would come? You see, you have parents in this country, I have heard it with my own eyes, telling the children, don't let nobody advantage you in school, don't let nobody last year. Anybody knock them out, and I will go and sit down and make the jail for you. We have parents telling the children that they will go and sit down in the prison and make the jail. And you putting that in the child head that, hey, well, if I do something, I will not make a prison. My parents will do it. But you're not explaining to them that is not the way the law works. So you can't come and say, well, yeah, my daughter knocked down somebody, but I will make the jail for her, Your Honor. It don't work so. It doesn't work. So you are not the threat to society, even though if that is the advice you give to your child, you are a threat to society, but you didn't commit the act. And therefore, the Lord the Lord will not allow you to substitute for your daughter or your son. These things happen, right? So to completely absolve yourself of blame because of your personal circumstances, say where you're trying and things hard, and okay, there are lots of parents who are in your position for whom things are hard, but they are able to maintain that stronghold or those reins over the children. Instead of just, you have parents who just, well, okay, you see me, I fed up, yes? And the police is only a matter of time before the police pick up with him. Well, I just waiting to hear if anybody in a drain somewhere. We have parents who have dismissed their children like that. I fed up. Again, in my own personal situation, I have a cousin with a 15-year-old daughter. She not talking to the daughter. The daughter went to live with the grandmother because she and the mother not seeing eye to eye. Right? They're not seeing eye to eye. So you just dismiss it. I fed up. Your daughter went to school. Right? Because my sister who died last year would have taken her under her wing. So she was living with her. My sister used to live in Victoria Keys. And she saw that, okay, the parenting is not of the best. My sister had no children, so she said, all right, you know what, I will take her. I will take responsibility for her. And the girl was doing exceptionally well. Let me tell you, exceptionally well. Every time report card come every term, there's only A's, high marks, high praise from the teachers. Exceptionally well, right? And of course, my sister would have been able to afford to provide her with a particular standard of living. But then when my sister died, certain arrangements, so she had put certain arrangements in place because she really didn't want my cousin to go back with her mother. And her mother was only too happy for that. Only too happy. Unfortunately, arrangements didn't work out. So she ended up back home with her mother. But my sister had put financial arrangements in place to ensure that she, her education is taken care of, anything that she needs, money to go to school, books, uniform, everything, all the way up to tertiary education. If she so desires, all these things are in place. But it's just that the living arrangements didn't work out. So she's back home with the mother. Right? So the mother sees her as a burden because the mother works in CPEP and she has a food card. And as far as she's concerned, so she has a boyfriend and she just concerned with him and his child. But your 15-year-old daughter, you ain't concerned with her. So she had to go and live with the grandmother. One grandmother, it didn't work out. She's now living with another grandmother, going to school, reaches school 10 o'clock. The school calls you the mother because you're the person that they have on the system, your number. You are the person to contact. And they call you to tell you, your daughter came to school for on 2 consecutive days at around 10 o'clock. And because you are the person we have on record who is responsible for how we calling you. And you will tell the school, nah, but she's not living by me, call the grandmother. Talk to the grandmother. I don't know nothing. This is your child. You made that child. Yeah? But you have washed your hands of her. How is she supposed to feel? That when her own mother has disowned her, right? And her father, well, he ain't no better. No better. Right? Because he's a drunk all over the place sitting. Yeah. So whenever she sees him, she sees him. You made the choice. You chose him. You made the choice. You had the child. And no sooner, well, anyway, there's a whole backstory. I ain't even gonna get into it. But at the end of the day, that is your child. And when it is that you will see your child walking on the road and the two of you passing each other straight like complete strangers. You have no interest in what is going on in her life. So people telling you she have boyfriend and so on at age 15. Well, whoever, I fed up. And Anta tells you, she not living by me. You see how it has happened? Yeah, and then you're coming to complain to me to say, well, I fed up because she knows what I went through, that I ended up getting pregnant when I was in school and I didn't get to finish my schooling and she should take pattern from me. You're talking to her? So right now she's heading on the road where she could very well end up in the same road that you were in. The same road that you went down, she is now heading down that same road and you have no input whatsoever to fix that. So she could be very well one like that, where you see a viral video, because and she is one who, how I should put it, boy, she like to talk her mind. If she finds that you're disrespecting her, she will put you in your place. And I keep telling her, you cannot, that is not the way to deal with it. So imagine I am more of a parent to her than her own parents. Any opportunity that I get to provide her with any advice and so on that I could give, I give it. This is not the way that you're supposed to be going. This is what you need to do, right? I said my sister invested a lot in you and she'll be very disappointed to see where you are today and where you have reached today after all that she did for you and the things that she put in place for you. She has done far more for you than your own parents have done, right? She's no longer here, unfortunately. But if she was, you would still be in line and still be doing well. But you don't have that. You don't have that support. And it's not. And my sister is not like she was operating as a parent. It's just that, yes, in a sense, she was a parent, but she was providing. She realized these are the resources. This is what was missing from her home. I'm going to provide her with the home environment and the things that she needs to be able to realize her fullest potential. She doesn't have that now. You don't have the guidance, and your mother washes her hands. But if anything happened, and a situation similar like this, she will come to say, well, I do my best and I try my best. No, you didn't. I know for a fact that you didn't. I know for a fact you could do better. You just don't want to because you don't want that responsibility. You prefer have somebody else take that responsibility in everything. Everything. Because you don't want it. But anyway, in the interest of time, that's a story for another time. Yeah, because that's just one of four children, none of whom she raised. 7701763. Let's see, let me just turn this off here. We say morning to Mr. Chance, morning Jenny. Let me just put this back on here. 1 second, Mr. Yates. Let me just get this here. Connect. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, I want to say two things.
Go ahead.
One, about the situation, the raising of children and so on.
Yes.
Now, I accept that some parents try very, very hard with their children, and that poverty is no excuse for the proper rearing of a child.
Mm-hmm.
That is number one. I think one of the big problems in this society also happens to be a North American problem, where you, as you said earlier, you want to be your child's good friend. You want to be your child's friend rather than the provider and upholder of values and good manners.
Yep.
So that a mistake a lot of parents make is that when they send their child to school, they decide that the school is the one that must provide the child with value and proper upbringing. In other words, the foisting of your responsibility is now placed on the teacher. Little do they realize, as I was telling my wife a couple of days ago, that the first teacher is the home. That is where the child is supposed to imbibe certain fundamental values of respect for big people, for adults, and their teachers, failing which you are going to lose out. You will have problems with that child. And poverty is not an excuse, and single parenting is not an excuse either. I know many circumstances where single parents have ended up being better than a home with two parents.
Correct, yes.
Right. So that in the first place, you see what parents do. Unfortunately, I refer to the woman, the mother. Their personal life have gone to tatters. They broke up with the father and husband and so on. And they decide, well, you know what happened? I'm lonely and carnival coming. And I want to go Wassa Fete and Wilco Fete and Flower Mills and Army Fete in the Savannah or in Petro and Fire Fete. So you know what? my boyfriend will carry me, and I'm carrying a 15-year-old daughter with me.
Yes.
I know many cases of that as a former teacher myself. In comprehensive school, where that kind of attitude pervades, that kind of culture pervades. I carry my child with me because nobody home. But inadvertently, what you're doing is exposing your child to the winds of the world, because your boyfriend might pick up a partner, might bounce up a partner in Wasserfeld, and his partner who's 40, 45, you start to look at your daughter now. And inadvertently, that exposes your daughter to early sexual activity.
Yes.
So when that child goes to school now, 14, 15 years, that child is a big woman who thinks she can solve the teacher. And in other words, I'm a big woman like you. Me and a little girl with you. And it all started from the home and the irresponsibility of the mother. I place full blame on you for that. And some of them, as you said earlier, they tell their children, don't take no lash from nobody,
Yeah.
Don't take nobody bawling at you and telling you anything, which could involve correcting the child
yes.
about rudeness. But when you expose the child to big people environments from very young, when your child in Form 3, Form 4, what you doing carrying your child to Wasserfeld? To Wasserfeld and Firefeld. Yeah?
Yes.
And with GoFed. What you doing carrying your little girl to that? There must be a support system. And you, in other words, since you can't stay home, if you feel that you have to go and relax with your man and things, well, find somebody to leave your child. If you feel that you have to go, you must go and party, don't party happy. See? So I think it starts there. I've seen too many instances where parents carrying their little girls to big people fact where all kind of dotation is going on, smoking ganja, drinking a set of rum and all kind of things, and you have your little girl around you. Next thing you know, when the child around her friends now, she looking for beer and rum. As far as the other point is concerned, the clown of our approach.
Yes.
We were told even before Gary Griffiths ended his tenure as police commissioner, he told us that exhaustive investigations between local police and foreign police, they could find. He told us that exhaustive investigations between local police and foreign police, they could find not of evidence linking Dr. Rowley to any bank account with Davy drilling in Florida or any foreign bank account for that matter. But he keeps coming back with that all the time. And that is why he has found himself in hot water in the court today. And this is just a hunch. I'm no lawyer, but I just get the feeling from listening to different comments and commentaries. I feel he's a bit uncomfortable at the possible outcome of that matter in March next year. And in any case, I really cannot understand why in a little country like Trinidad and Tobago, a judge has to take 5 and 6 and 7 months to hand down a decision. It doesn't happen in other jurisdictions. Look, the airport thing, it took 20 years, nothing happened. Florida, in 1 month, between January and March, it was settled. It's now on appeal.
Yes.
United States has over 300 million people. We are 1.4. You think a judge must be taking 6, 7, 8 months and a year to hand down a decision? And a case in this country has to take 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Ridiculous. So I'll just say that much. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah. WD-40 can't have the wheels of justice in this country, unfortunately. So let me get this here. Switch this. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Let me just get this. Right. Hello. Good morning. Morning, sir.
Good program as usual. Enjoying it. A nice contribution from Mr. Yates. Let me continue what you have to say too. You see this nonsense about the parents being your friends, your child? That is probably one of the problems causing this thing in this country as well.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be friends with your child.
Yes.
And that is a no-no.
Yes.
You are the parent and they're the child. I see cases where mother and daughters dress up the same way to the point that you can't tell them apart whether they're my sisters. Particularly when you're going out to parties and stuff like that. I see it already. Right? Another negative thing too. You see these so-called reality TV programs that people just watch.
Yes.
Like Kim Kardashian, and those things like BET and certain people they look up to. Certain pop singers, I wouldn't call him because we're not singers too who cut water in their bodies in a negative way. And young people looking up to these people as their role models. To me, that is a negative impact. And I've always said that the authorities should have come in and banned certain music in this country, particularly the so-called Chester music, and them strippers like Lola Pneumatic, empty clips. The government should have come down heavy on these musicians. These people that are promoting this type of music should ban this in court. But I see in Jamaica already, they ban certain music, you know.
Yeah.
Are you aware of that, Dominic?
Yes.
And I think government, I remember some time ago, many years ago, under Mr. Manning, the government at this time was considering banning these so-called dancehall music in the maxi taxis because it was alleged that it promoted negative impact with these children. There's different cases of the maxi and them showing blue movies when they plan to children to school. I remember that stories. And there was a big hullabaloo about it. And then, you know, it's some other, nobody talk about it, nothing was done about it. And these things that you're told to look at.
Yes.
You know? Dominic boy, I want something else. I know that the budget is over, but I am hoping that the authorities take a good look at the rapid rail.
Yes.
The traffic run is getting suspicious. And I blame all the people, the opposition, the car dealers association, and even the taxis for that stopping that deal. Because it was more than that, it would affect their business. Some people say it was infeasible. And all these stupidness, and look what's going on right now. Right? And I hope that in future the government look at this thing and revisit the rapid rail.
Yes.
We really need it. Thank you. But you know what how these so-called people say it's too expensive and not suitable.
Correct, yes.
Have a good day.
You too. Jenny. Morning.
You hear me clearly?
Yes.
Right. I'm only going to point to all those who are tuning in and locked in to facts and stubborn things. You see that situation with parents and children, I'll tell you, there's an incident I had on Frederick Street some years ago. I was standing on, Henry Street. And there were two adults speaking, and there was a child. She may have been about 9 years old, standing there. So her mother was relating some incident with some man and some woman and some outside woman, and she faced all up in it. And then the mother turned and tell her, tell she we go now. And the little girl come in the middle and start to relate the whole thing. And I remember looking at another adult who was standing because I was waiting to buy some fruits there on Henry Street. And we watched one another and say, you see, why this little child, first of all in the conversation, why you have to the child she tell she where we go now, and she recount the whole incident. That is how these things will start. You saw the little child small and they had them whining to the music and find out what she cute and do it again, drop down low, and do it. And all of we laughing and watching it and thing. It'll start from there because a child wouldn't understand. When they do it in front of people and again, like someone to lead them, the child will understand because mommy and daddy and all my cousins will just laugh when I'm doing it.
Yes.
Why you not laughing now? That little girl who all up in the people business I tell you about it. When she goes somewhere else and embarrass the mother because it may not be a friend the mother talking to, they want to slap down the child will not understand because it doesn't allow she to do it. So I'm coming to where I'm going with this. That child was cussing in the school and calling the mother and all that. That is how she was taught at home.
Yes.
You cannot just pick up a phone and start to cuss and tell your mother, come now. That is because you have been doing it at home. There are a lot of parents in their homes who children does be beating them. There are a lot of children in the home where the grow up is constantly in morning, noon, and night. They just see the parents because the house so small, little curtain, they see the mother and father having sexual intercourse. They see the mother bringing this man, that man, and seeing all those things. Children are growing up seeing those things. Those things that distort children's perception of how they behave. Because now they're seeing things that mommy and daddy do, mommy and she man and this man or whatever, and they can't put it in the context because they don't have the cognitive ability at those ages to put things in the context. So when you add all that now, which we are going to come here now, Kamla have decided to remove corporal punishment from schools. They never replace it with something else to treat with children who are behaving bad. And on top of that, you said all children will pass common entrance. So whether you could read, you could write, you could sit the exam or not, so you just flood the schools with children. So you have children going to school. They would have had before post-primary, those who didn't pass common entrance, so they could come up to scratch. Then from there, if you wasn't still able to get into secondary school, you were sent to the trade schools, you were sent to the youth camps. In the youth camps, you will learn a trade, you could continue academic if you want, and continue to go and do your classes, all that stuff. So with the situation I just described in the homes, and then coming on and passing exams, not being able to read and write because everybody going to school. So in the school now, there's nothing to prevent you from behaving a particular way because nobody is doing nothing because they're afraid they get locked up, the teacher ain't talking to you, blah, blah, blah. What they expect to happen when this trend with 17, 18, 19 is the same trend from school who was never given any type of training will be out there, and if by chance they get into sports and have a coach who will guide them properly, they could modify the behavior if it's a priest, if it is an adult, or the family member, whatever. But then again, what about the adults and them who will groom them now?
Yes.
Who will take out? So let me tell you, children are vulnerable, that's why they are called children. And if you don't mold them the way properly, I heard somebody from an ex person was in my family. Say you don't train, you don't only train horses, you don't train children. You see, those type of behaviors is what is creating little monsters today. And I don't care if you're a single parent or not, there are things you can do. I was a single parent. My mother was a single parent when I was the age of 10. And let me tell you something, she put the fear of God in me. And I had the fear of she, that I walked the road as narrow as I could because I understood if a teacher had to call her to come in this school, she will come and snatch me and drag me straight to she. I don't want that kind of embarrassment in front of my friends and peer pressure after they laughing at me and my mother come in school. And then I know she will run down in school, colors and she had rubbers. She would have run down and the effect was to get me embarrassed. So when I visualize all those things, I kept myself on the straight and narrow. And then growing up, Mr. Yes, I know what you're saying is true, but I'll tell you this. I used to be all the fat. Wasta fat, prison, any fat that had, I was right there. But you know what? I had a lockdown on my children. I taught my children the right thing. And today, they are professionals. Because I told them as an adult, I will go parties. That is my right because I must have a way to steam off. I'm a single parent. I need something to relieve my stress. Parties, given I wasn't partying with man or nothing.
Jen, you there?
Context station. So they have single parents out there who party, but you know what? The children doing it right because at home there is a foundation. And we are missing that now. So again, I say, when the little child whining to the music, stop laughing and say, come on, watch she dance. When they're using the obscene language, stop it. You know what? Here she comes. Stop it. You know, you're having relations with your man, wherever it is, make sure the place is secure that your children can be peeping and watching. Conduct yourself in a proper manner so that your children have a foundation. So I'm not taking this thing as no single parent. And it's hard. And I'm a stalk to she. If you're a stalk to she will never pick up a phone and start to cuss until you come. So we ain't buying that. I hear you, but we ain't buying that. Should I call? Mommy, you could come now, please. Look, I'm getting some problems in school, Mommy. You ain't going to start a cuss and say, come now. It's because I heard us talk at home. So, Mommy, You try to make an excuse to darling, there's no excuse. And you just know the children who are brought up, even though they are single parents, you just know because they still have manners and etiquette. They may talk a little roughy, but they still have a little etiquette or something in there. Something wrong in that home, mommy. So you coming out there to talk, Let me stop blaming this thing on single parent. You ain't talking to she good enough because she cussing you. You see that? Once when I'm 32 kids, let me tell you something. It'll have some missing. Go on, have a blessing.
Thanks, Jen. You know, that's what parents used to say. As I'm seeing some of the persons who are commenting and letting them know, I'm not your friend. I am your parent. I don't want to be your friend. Maybe when you're another 20-something, you think, yeah, we could be friends then. But for now, as long as you're living under my roof, there's no friend there. That's the problem. Too many of you all figure if you discipline your child and the friendship will break up and you don't like when the child vexes with you and they ain't talking with you. Really? You prefer the embarrassment? They will get over it. This thing about, well, using, look, you know, boy children these days, I can't understand what is this thing with this high hair. It's high hair. And that's how you discipline your child. If it is, you know what I tell you, you know, we're going to marry Baba. Really? Really? Okay. 7701763. Right? Where are we going? Some of these very same children, 10 years from now, I heard Munilal talking yesterday about the gangs and so on, and the average age of the gang member is 22. The average age of the gang member is 22, you know that. 13 years ago, when you all came into power, how old was he? 22 years old, 29 years old. For example, you all set it. Hello, good.
Hello.
Hi, morning.
Morning, Dominic. How are you?
Hi, Carol. I am good.
Right. Good show.
Thank you.
Children and parents is a topic that I was kind of a single mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I put the fear into my children, get in trouble to call me.
Mm.
And they did try me. My son got somebody to call and said that he's in a police station, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the person called me. I said, well, okay, you call him there till Wednesday. My son called back, Mom, you really leave me there?
Yeah.
I said, yes, I told you to get in trouble. Don't call me. He was shocked. That was it. My daughter was a little more stubborn. Man, I scrambled. Slap down, cough down.
Yeah.
You're living under my roof, you're eating my food, you do what I see. But when that child called that parent and you're cussing, you're getting on, there's no discipline. The mother is trying to make all kind of excuse. You can't be the child. She's 15 years. You see that you minding her.
Yes.
What? What? You can't be that. No. And from that she is saying there that she's not disciplined those children at home. You have 8. And there's no discipline. Your daughter could call you and cuss and carry on. And my daughter, one day, I thought she said a cuss word. Man, I scrambled her, put her on the bed, jump on top of her, blah, blah. Whoever is under my roof. Don't disrespect me. So my children walk the street and narrow.
Yes.
And when your children walk the street and narrow, when the age of 21, 22, you could rock back and say, yes, people just I have done good because they're in good jobs, they could handle that story. But when you leave them like that, what's going to happen? You will see the children behind their parents as they get old. Sticking up behind them in the bank to collect the police pension because they didn't do the work when they were small. And when they do things, I'm going to kill cats, it's so sweet. No, yes. You discipline them from the cradle. From the cradle. I am also listening to Anita Haynes and saying, how the government come up with the $1,000. Where they got that from? What you expect the government to mind your child from the cradle? No. I don't understand that as $1,000 is a helping hand.
Yes.
That could buy 20 books. That could pay the driver to drop your child to school. It's just a help. It's not to mind your child fully. So I don't understand where she is talking about that $1,000. That is not good enough. What happened? You want the government to give her a salary at $3,000? Come on, Anita. Don't do that. And it's children, but well, for me, I have a distant cousin who I was given trouble. She said, okay, you want to give trouble? I have 5 more to like. She enrolled in St. Jude. And that child was straight after. You have to do something. Stop me. And all I'm hearing that mother is only making excuses. And she has to stop it. Otherwise, that child will go on the wrong path right through. And back into school, I don't know. I think she should not be back in school because she disrupted the whole school, the parent, the teacher, everybody.
Yes.
Okay, Dominic, have a good day. Good
Thank
program.
you, Carol. Thank you so much. Hello, good morning.
Yes, very good morning to you, Dominic.
Morning.
I'm so happy these last two callers. You know, I don't sometimes I get the feeling that these ladies, using the fact that they are single parents, they come and tell me, I'm a single parent. I suppose that should be the excuse for what has happened. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's just look at these two parents. And I know so many single women who have brought up their children with all the values and they are really good citizens. So I don't know why the first thing they come with, I am a single parent. Even if, and I think the conversation to the young women now, preteens or teens, you know, this is not something that you want to do. You have 3 and you're single.
Yes.
But you have 8. I'm not telling people not to have the children. But I mean, there must be some, because I mean, what can you do better when you have 8 children?
Yes.
And you are a single mother if you're not financially able to bring these children properly up, give them a good education or so. And I think that conversation needs to be had more with these young girls from school, because I'm not hearing that conversation.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Hello, good morning.
Hey, Dominic, good morning.
Yes, sir, morning.
Dominic, again, a wonderful program. You went in depth. I can relate to 100% I think that you said.
Yes.
No, in terms of Dr. Mulilal. Dr. Mulilal, again, something has to be wrong with Dr. Mulilal. You know, all these things Dr. Mulilal spoke about in what you played in the clips. And I was always saying, if Dr. Mulilal really meant and was very serious about the things, Dr. Mulilal will tell us what went on in EMBD, and Dr. Mulilal cannot distance himself from the EMBD.
Yes.
Dr. Mulilal's name is being called in the court concerning EMBD. Dr. Mulilal was the minister. So you in charge of your things, so you blaming everybody else today about they're in charge of your ministry and all these things. And when you were sitting down at the post in a ministry, you telling taxpayers when it had a cartel racket with billions of taxpayers' money being thing out there, and you telling us, I mean, you know nothing about that, you know.
Yes.
So what you doing saying down there as a cabinet minister in the first place? But you know, I don't blame him for being there, you know. You see the people who voted for him, but by a landslide.
Yes.
Something had to be wrong with these people, logic. I think these people that need being educated in terms of in politics and representation. No, you could do that. You know, you don't see that in the PNM. Poor Marlene. She's still waiting to clear her name. But Marlene couldn't go back up with those things hanging over her head.
Yes.
Even as before, when they bring the dirt on Marlene, she gets cleared by the Integrity Commission until they come up with something. And usually just be manufacturing things, just as Mulilal and them did that told us that Stuart Young and the government and them sold oil to Venezuela, sold gas to Venezuela. And just what I get Starbucks and them to do a story in it, but I noticed how Starbucks wrote the story. Starbucks really said that gas from Trinidad ended up in Venezuela, and they went on that. They didn't say the government tell anybody anything.
Yes.
But on the platform, Mulilal and them was pushing that. Mulilal also need to tell us about the BMW, the Benz was packed up in HGC, where it's alleged, well, I'm using the word alleged, going to be very careful, but workers and people said that yes, they saw Murilal's spouse using it, and they couldn't explain. Even Kirk Wade put himself out there. Kirk Wade said, I rent my vehicle to think, so he doesn't know who will be assigned what and who think this. I think, and my gut feeling, right? And I'm using these words to clear yourself and myself. That Kirk Wade must have known what's going on. That is what I feel. I feel Kirk Wade must know what's going on. I do not know everything about Kirk Wade. Need to answer that truly and honestly to us. Because of the relationship, and we know how these politicians and them work.
Yes.
You know? Because you get the contract. And after when your contract has been, it started dwindle down and one thing, you seem to be one-sided in fixing TNT. A lot of the issues around the time in 2015, 2016, took with very quiet and the serious issues of the minister with the boat that his wife and get the contractor to do the repairs. He was sitting as the Minister of Works and Transport at that time, and he said that he demolished all he cut ties with all dealings with the company and how the company who used to be servicing the boat, how that contract stopped and he get the contract. It's a set of promise and back and I'll know that he leave because he dragged off and he was so concerned about Keith Noel all he days now. You don't hear nothing about this man. The man wrote the back of Keith Noel, and I know Keith Noel personally. I know him personally. We used to call him Simple. And I have always seen this man, before he get in active politics, but I remember they once asked him if he would enter the politics, and he said no. Yes. Because he was so concerned about the murder rate and the murder, just as Dr. Mulilal. Dr. Mulilal telling us about the attempt on the acting, the assistant or the thing commissioner of prisons, and he's so concerned. Dr. Mulilal didn't show that kind of concern about Dina Sita Hall and the people that the police arrest was part of a life support program under his government. He was not concerned, and the darkest days in Trinidad, darkest days, my foot. When you said it too, when you have a prisoner breaking out of jail, blazing guns, killing police officers in the process, having grenades. Oh, what prisoner can end up with that in prison? These things have to have high connections, you know. It isn't easy for a prisoner to get there. You get your cell phone and things, but you tell me about getting a firearm and grenade. Prison officers don't work with grenades. Yes. Who get the grenades inside it for them? Who help them? Why? I always want to find out because the police is still under investigation. But the police, we need to know why. Whose interest that Dina Sita Hall was executed? I mean, these are basic things, and I'm sure the police want to know. The police and them has a theory, but it's just a theory. The police cannot divulge much information on that. Yes. And I want to close off with this. I want to give Earl Christopher, Commissioner of Police of Trinidad and Tobago, a round of applause. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give a standing ovation. You want you to go? You see what happened yesterday? You see that attachment of guns this lady get? Yes. And even check the record of this lady. That is why the lady, when she came in, she said she was given a certain amount that time at the power, the sabotage, all kind of thing. She said she was going to bring down the gun. You see, the triple whammy of the drugs, the people that were bringing in drugs. I sure the backline now. Them had to do real good to get the drugs to come in because she breaking the tail in that. Yes. You see the killers and them on the street because she deal with everybody from white collar crime. You follow them who think that they can just kill and nobody go think and nobody free and all one thing. She went and she get them, nobody for no chair. So they could testify and say what they had to say to the police and them could tell the case and know what is happening and get information and go after the gang. Yes. Because she going in the heart and soul of gang. She went in a gang hole and thing and they arrest one set of them fellas and then the lady is working. The lady has the divisions, all the divisions, and then she getting them to work and who to get up and do the job. When is the last time you hear white collar criminals, a bank manager, you might know the person, the bank manager. I don't want to call too much and things. I know the media come up with it yet. You may know the bank manager, Peter Avenue. That is all I would say. He and some racket with the same social welfare thing under Donna Cox. And that thing tell me, what was you only God call my name? You know, coming up with that. Crime is crime. No matter how long you commit the crime, once you commit that crime and the evidence comes 20 years after, you'll have to pay for it. Ask the guys and them who rip up the treasury and go on and think everything done. And 20-something years after, we get back $1 billion back from them. All these things. This is what Murilal and them have to talk about. They want to call and think people and yet raise the issues because we need to know what is going on. Raise the issue. I don't say don't raise no issue, but come on now, Murilal, bring some truth to the issues. Because some of the things we can see right through it. Because all you need when Murilal say that you only speaking to one set of person, people who just want lies. They still bring up the same crap about AV drilling and AV drilling. The man win the thing in court. The man win his case in court. So what I have to do with the government? The government didn't dictate the court to do this and that and thing. You got to get rowdy partners and that's one of the things. But here what? SIS is pretty because nobody on that side didn't help me to see what is went on. They help us get the money back from SIS. Well, Dominic, then again, good because I can only speak so because listening to you and getting the facts, and on top of that, going back and looking through archives and you could find things and then read about what you said and realizing this and that I could come on radio and talk like this because of what I've been learning over with you, Jenny, Mr. Chance and Mr. Yates and see Mr. Yates, it's a plain fitting Mr. Yates that he's saying that we forget over the years, And when you bring it up, then you realize, oh, yeah, it's true, that really happened. But you see this one day wonder thing of the mindset that we have. Thanks that your program and they have other programs, let's bring back the actual event, which is back. So now we can talk. So they can't fool me with no nonsense. Cambridge Analytica catch me real bad in 2010. We get caught real bad in 2010, and since that was broke and played out in the United States and United Kingdom, we understand coming up with our sister because it's them we win. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Hello, good morning. Hello.
So, good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
How are you?
I am good, and yourself?
You had stayed each other longer than I really wanted to, One thing I don't agree with one of the callers on them about him was band music. Yeah. I think I listen to all kind of music. Long time with Buju Banton and Terra Fabulous, and I think it's your mind.
Right.
And the respect you have for your parents. Or even some in some cases fear, but my father had a bell called Be Nice.
Right.
When you see Be Nice come out, it has to be nice.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't think the music does anything.
Right.
Once you have a strong mind, just enjoy the rhythm, I would say, and enjoy yourself.
Yes. Yes.
And one more thing, the lady, she never even apologized for her daughter.
Right.
With all of that, all the talks she talked there, she didn't apologize for her daughter behavior. So, moms, they just make a lot of excuse and still say nothing.
Correct.
Say good morning, sister.
Good morning from the First Lady of Pleasantville.
Good morning, First Lady and super artist. I must say.
Hello?
When is the exhibition, Marissa?
Well, I'm working on it.
Okay.
You had a look at the year too, where Christmas is coming, Carnival is coming. So
right.
Those are not really good times to have shows. So
yes.
After.
Nice. Well, I will certainly be there whenever it is.
Yeah, in the meantime, I'll just continue creating and let the spirit guide me as to when it's the best to do it. But it's tonight on the cast. And I don't really post as much. I have so much more. I just post one. But
wow.
So much more than I've done so far. Yeah.
Post it.
Yeah. I'm going to try another one today.
All right.
So. I have another one in mind.
Nice.
But we locked on and listening, Nigel, of course.
Thank you.
And as Nigel said, I will just agree, I'm not to stay too long. A lot of these children, some parents are mostly, and I'm not saying you have to blame the parents, but some parents are mostly focusing on getting funds to ensure that children eat and live and all of that. So sometimes, even in a single parent, they may be absent. But I will also say that cannot be a cop-out, because I grew up in what you will call a single parent home, and my mother, even though when she was still mothering, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But that is a different time. These children are a lot more, their attention is taken by social media and things that, trend and all of that. So it's a different time they're living in. So that's the next thing you have to look at. The times we grew up in is different from the times that they grew up in. Sometimes what would have worked for us back then will not work now. We have to be a little more creative and move with the times, that kind of way. So it's like a learning. It's a time where everybody should try and figure out how we're doing it, but still not look at how most of us grew up back then. Because we grew up without social media, we didn't have internet, we grew up playing outside. Them children don't know about that.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Them children don't know about gotta be home by the time the light come on the street like something. We have kids anymore 9, 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, they're still out.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and you can't say you have to stop them, but it all comes down to parents understanding that this is a different time, this is a different generation. They have a lot of stuff that against them, or a lot of stuff that can influence them. So the parents have to learn what is trending and find ways to counteract that by proper parenting in these times. So that's just my take. You know what I mean?
Well,
because these children smart.
Yes.
And listen, if you feel you can search your phone and block, them will find ways to hide things you will never know. Because we used to do it back then.
Right.
We used to do it. I know what when your mother said, "What are you doing?" You're hiding and she know, but now it's different. And it's just sad. And one of the things that I've seen is that we grew up learning that we have to work for what we want, go to school, educate ourselves and stuff. Now children are growing up wanting everything now. They're like, okay, I have to have $100 million now.
Yeah.
By any means necessary. And if it means getting into something that is not legal, then that's fine. Once I could wear my brands and I could drive my big vehicle or look good, because it's all about, looking good. So I mean, it's difficult, it's tough. I'm sorry that the parent couldn't see the fault and say that on her behalf she apologized, but you just pray that good sense prevail and that children don't see this as a catalyst for things where you can just do what you want and you can come to school and everything normal. So anyway, have a blessed day.
You too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Take care.
Yes, we see time there. Who else we have here? Let me see. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, brother.
Morning, sir.
And morning to all those locked on and subscribed, man. Interesting commentary the last 2 days.
Yes. Thank you.
So I would not have been able to have the call yesterday, but I went back and watched what this year.
Right.
And you were so right in your analysis of the budget presentations and so on. That when these people get up, all they're doing is grand charging in the parliament. And you're just paying a set of people to grand charge. And these are the opposition benches.
Yeah.
Because like I said, they fully well know when it comes to the committee of the whole with the speaker as chairman, all the nitty-gritty will be spelled out to them. Where they will continue to ask the dotish questions with the posturing for the fans.
Right.
And not for anything to move the work of serious budget discussion forward. You understand? So, when I agree 100% with everything you said concerning the mother and so on, right?
Yes.
In terms of, but there's enough features in the system that will for parents to get support more than like in my time and even your time, because you have 2 years younger. There's no student support services. They have Childline. They have the Children's Authority.
Yes.
They have the Police Service Victim and Witness Support Unit who provide excellent counseling and so on for younger persons and so on. Right? There are a range of things now to help parents who feel challenged or overwhelmed with the circumstances, right? In addition to still having some of the traditional support systems that we will come with the churches and so on and so forth, right? So that is there. But I'm saying, like yourself, when I went to secondary school, and when I was about Form 1, I got into something, and my parents had to come to school. My father at least. And listen to me, he gave me a choice. Say, you want my looks or you taking the school? Because in those days, those middle days, they had the themes of discipline. And I elected to take the themes of discipline punishment. It was 13 strokes on the backside in front of the class.
Right.
Where I misdemeaned myself. Right? I took my 13 strokes like the man I thought I was at the age of 13. And for the rest of my career, the 5 years I remained at that institution, I never had any problems again. So I still have to say, the embarrassment of being caned in front of me, because that was you would not used to be caned in front of the classroom and being embarrassed in that manner. And particularly when I think about an girl who did like you, that kind of thing. You get caned in front of the class. I wasn't prepared for that to happen to me again.
Right.
Right? And that put me back where I was able to complete my career, come up with a full certificate. And then was able to start on my journey into working and so on.
Right.
Right? And I use my example to say this is the value of corporal punishment, at least to me. Right? I didn't see it as abuse. I saw it as a corrective measure. And now the dean of discipline, I see him regularly, and we just laugh at that. We have a joke. We have a joke at that. You understand? Never forget that. Anytime I see him, I just turn around and he just start laugh. Everybody's in the bank or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You start laugh. You understand? So us losing the value of that when the opposition leader was the education minister is a big thing. Right? And I say that to say another part of the equation that is a failure to dominate is our current juvenile justice system.
Yes.
Because you know what I'm saying? Juveniles who misdemean themselves. Dominic, you are aware that they only have 2 stations in the whole country that can house juveniles, or is it, I believe it's 3 by now. So one is St. Joseph, one is in Maraval, I believe, and the other is the Brasso police station, which is a police station that was rebuilt, right? In addition to that, young persons who are charged with offenses, whatever the type of offense, listen to it carefully, whether it's a capital offense as murder or a simple offense as larceny from the person or robbery, they have to go to court in unmarked vehicles accompanied by plainclothes officers, unshackled, with no handcuffs. That is what the juvenile justice rules brought into play. Dominic, if we want children to feel a sense of shame or have in their mind that I did something wrong and the process of starting, we're not saying they're convicted yet, but they start to get a sense of contrition even before the trial stage. That is the way to go, right? When you already have a system where no corporal punishment in school and parents train up their hands as the lady and some others clearly do.
Right.
I mean, you give us the example in your own family. A very tragic story in the maker as you would have related to us. You understand? Now, we could do better. Now, I'm saying that what we would have transposed from Canada and England and New Zealand is what we brought to our juvenile system.
Right.
But our society is not yet in a place where we could bring these things in place. Right? And what I'm saying is that if we need to have this thing where it needs to be, all police stations need to be retrofitted to accommodate juvenile prisoners. Or at least, in the very least, in every division, in all the 10 divisions, at least 2 stations should be earmarked to have these people housed. You understand that?
Yep.
But so it's a serious thing, and I'm saying the movers and shakers and the framers of these things need to rethink that policy.
Yeah.
If we need to, because I'm not saying that criminalize young persons, but I'm saying we have to start the corrective measure where in their minds contrition has to be a big feature.
Agreed.
So if we don't do that, we'll just graduate them. Right?
Yes.
And we're on to the discourse about the budget and so on. And I got a headline in yesterday's news, right? Where the IMF is already opining on the effect of the war between Hamas and Israel and what it could have on an already struggling world economy. Right. Not me saying that, the IMF saying that.
Yes.
But people here would want to say, these fools opposite the government would want to say that it's the government fault. Well, I know that depending on how things go, with that ground assault, it's carried to start anytime.
Yes.
That if Egypt gets involved in that, and the Israelis say, listen, you know what we're going to do? We're going to disrupt all your oil installations and oil transporting capacity. And they will be targeting the Suez Canal down.
Yep.
And then if other countries around say, hey, we'll take it out, and they form an alliance and they say we retaliated.
Yeah.
Yes, the price of oil might go up, which might be good for us and other producers, young producers, especially like Guyana. But the overarching chaos that it would bring to the world economy after COVID, it would be devastating. I don't think that people realize that.
Right.
But I want to say on that situation, to leave it down, the two-state solution is the only solution for lasting peace in the Middle East. And the UN has to jump off the fence and get over this Holocaust guilt that the world has been experiencing, suffering for the last 75 years, and bite the bullet. And say that the long-mandated two-state solution as promulgated under the League of Nations way back when it was still under the British Palestine mandate, that is what had to be put forward. And the plan that was looking to be put forward by Shimon Peres and later endorsed by Ariel Sharon when he was Prime Minister before he was assassinated. That is the only solution for peace in that region. But take care, brother, and continue and realizing how much you have taken off, sir, by the difficulty it is to get in.
Yeah.
Have a good day, brother.
You too. Thank you. Righty-o. So, folks, I have to jump out, but let me thank you for joining me this morning. All right, let me just take this one quickly and then that's it. Hello, good morning. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Doctor. Dominic, I have called back again with a call for concern about the music and all music, Let me tell you something. I have a question. Would you allow your child to watch a pornographic movie?
No.
Or listen to them? Would you like to listen for your child to listen to explicit lyrics?
Explicit lyrics? No.
Yeah. So, what are you guys calling about all that is not right for certain authorities to ban certain music? I try to understand that. As in the words of the late gladiator, there's an analysis in his there's a paralysis in his analysis. That just doesn't add up at all. But we could agree to disagree.
Yes.
With the struggle going on in Israel, I got to tell people before, you gotta know the history of that place. Remember, that was just a small strip of land,
right?
And you also remember too, that it also the place where it had the three main religions collide together: Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. And if we had to talk about what happened in Israel, we had to go way back in the founding state in 1948. some people will probably go back in the days of King David. Right? We had to talk about other things situated in the Middle East, such as the Suez Canal crisis. We had to talk about the Iran-Iraq war from 1980 to 1988. We had to talk about the Afghanistan war with Russia and because all that is part of the Middle East crisis as well, Dominic. We had to talk about the situation between India and Pakistan. You had something going on there? We had to talk about ISIS, the Gulf War, the two Gulf Wars. We had to also talk about the Arab Spring of 2011, which resulted in the death of Mr. Gaddafi in Libya. So you see what's going on there, like it's very, very complex. And if we talk about that, it will take a whole week of discussion. So,
indeed,
like I said, we have to be very careful.
Yes.
Because there's people who for Israel and some for against.
Yes.
We can talk about the atrocities committed by Hamas and Hezbollah and all that and at the PLO under the late Yasser Arafat. And we can talk about the atrocities committed by the Israelis, Arabs who occupied that land for hundreds of years before they established their state, courtesy of the colonial power of Great Britain.
Yes.
Right. Well, have a good day.
You too. Thank you. Right. So thank you all so much for joining me this morning. As I always say, that whole situation and with respect to Israel and Palestine is unfortunate. But of course, we know the Western media is couching that whole development solely around Israel. So if you look at all the news stations, BBC, MSNBC, CNN, the focus is only on the impact on Israel. But we're not seeing the impact that it's having on the Palestinians, those who have no connection with Hamas, and lives are being lost. But when lives are lost in Palestine, in Gaza, the terminology they're saying persons have died. But in Israel, when lives are lost, persons have been killed. Right? So I see where in Gaza, for instance, the power plant has run out of fuel, so there's no electricity. They're having water problems, and you see in young innocent children too, in Palestinian children who suffering just as those who may have been kidnapped and some. Well, what Hamas has done in Israel, really, going into people's home, killing innocent children and families, really. But Israel is preparing their ground troops, and they said in the coming days you will see things, you will see pictures coming out of Gaza that will be very disturbing. But they're warning you. They go in there and they couldn't care who innocent, who guilty. Yeah. So we'll see how that plays out and how it impacts geopolitics and so on. But we'll discuss that on another day. So folks, thank you so much. It is 8:57. Enjoy the rest of your day. Yes, Point Kumana Shan is saying Israel cut off the electricity. Most unfortunate situation is going to be massive loss of life on both sides. But I think more so on the Palestinian side. But then remember, Palestine and Israel have been fighting for millennia, since in biblical times. Yeah, but same Bible also predicted that these things would happen. Nation would rise against nation in the last days. So those of us who are not taking heed, take heed. Yeah, read your Bible, understand. Now, these things had to happen. They have been predicted, and we know what is to come after. So enjoy the rest of your day, folks, and we will chat again on Sunday morning, God's willing, 11 o'clock. The Chris Allen says Israel needs to pay the people for their land. I agree. Up to now, I always remind my son, who is a DJ, don't encourage certain type of music because these lyrics follow you. And he listens and he teaches the DJ class, and he is popular. Yeah. Load up the Matic, knock it on them and knock it again. I listen to Trinidad music. Yes. Who said that? The Prime Minister in waiting. Prime Minister in waiting. Knock it on them. And now they're talking about gang members who sending threats and talking about knock it on them and all of that. Yeah. Folks, we'll chat again on Sunday, 11. Yeah. Thank you so much. I am out. We will chat again.